Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to Klaus. Yeah, it is the holiday special, the final monthly movie night as well. And Klaus is what we have chosen. Well, what I have chosen. You guys wanted to see me react to this too, but still. Um, so this is a Netflix animated movie that has received a lot of acclaim. I don't know pretty much anything about it except that it's Santa Claus related. That is literally it. um, so we're going in completely blind. But for some reason, just getting into this movie and everything, preparing to record this, has reminded me of a movie from my childhood. I don't know how many of you might have heard of this, but it is a 1996 made for TV CBS movie. It's only like 40 minutes long, but it's called The Story of Santa Claus. And it's obviously an origin story for Santa. Um, but the thing is, this movie, this made for more of a television special, it stars some amazing voices. We have Ed Asner, we have Betty White, we have fucking Tim Curry. Um, and basically, Santa or Nicholas Claus and his wife Gretchen are toy makers, and Nick's goal is to give every child in the world a gift for Christmas. Very typical Santa Claus kind of thing. They end up becoming stranded at the North Pole, get help from the elves. There's the head of the elves is this wizard named Nostro, who he's Tim Curry's character. I mean, that's honestly enough to say. But yeah, it's like I grew up watching that movie many, many times, and I just have a huge fondness for it. I haven't seen it in years, so it's wild to get reminded of it all of a sudden. It's definitely something I want to check out before the holiday season ends. Um, but we're here today for Klaus. So yeah, I don't know anything about what Klaus, or again Claus, or however you pronounce are supposed to pronounce the movie title is. I don't know if it's another origin story. I don't know if it's something else. All I know is it's critically acclaimed. Everyone loves it, and it's an animated Santa Claus movie. Um, One other thing I have heard is that it's 2D animation that is taking steps from 3D animation. In other words, kind of the opposite of Into the Spider-Verse, because Into the Spider-Verse was 3D animation that took a lot of notes from 2D. So I guess this is the opposite of that. That doesn't really tell me anything about the movie, though. But yeah, yeah, I'm interested to see this for sure. I've seen a lot of Santa Claus movies over the years, live action, animated, all kinds of stuff. And I'll be honest, most of them are pretty fucking generic. I mean, you're not going to hit gold like with Tim Allen's The Santa Claus all the time. You're just not. Um, but yeah, yeah. I'm interested to see what we got. Now, obviously, for those watching, this movie is centered specifically on Christmas. I personally celebrate Christmas, but for those of you who don't, for those of you who celebrate a different holiday this year, um, I hope if you choose to watch the movie that you enjoy yourself nonetheless, and I hope that you have a very happy holiday season no matter what you celebrate, whether it be Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, Yule, whatever else. I don't know all the holidays that are celebrated at this time of year, but yeah, whatever holiday you happen to celebrate, I hope that you have a great time with family, friends, and hell, I hope you get some good stuff. um, But yeah, one other thing before we begin, you may notice the screen is kind of back to how it used to be before I got the new webcam and switched it up a little bit. Um, my OBS crashed and I had to reset everything. So the reaction screen might be a little off as well, like just the dimensions of everything. I apologize for that. It wasn't me. It wasn't something I did. It just kind of happened and it sucks. I hate it when that happens. The funny thing is my OBS has crashed plenty of times in like the past months and months. But this is the first time in quite a while that I've actually had to reset everything. And it's easy to do. I've talked about this before. I basically have a backup folder and I just have to copy and paste everything to the main folder. It's super simple. But the problem is everything in the backup folder was like from a few months ago. So it's like, yeah, it's a little outdated. But that's fine because at the start of the new year, all of this is going to be updated a little more anyways. So yeah, it's not that big of a deal. Um, but yeah, so I don't know what to expect. We're just going to get into this and hope for the best. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Excuse me. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts. It will contain spoilers to the movie. So that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, whenever I hear that a movie or a show or whatever has gotten this insane amount of hype around it, just this insane amount of love and appreciation and hype, I'm always skeptical. One of the big examples from recent years was Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I mean, I've always been a big Spider-Man fan, favorite Marvel superhero. But when that movie came out and it got like all of that hype and all of that praise, I was skeptical prior to seeing it, that it could live up to that. And it far surpassed anything I could have hoped. Into the Spider-Verse is my favorite superhero movie of all time. When I first heard the hype and the praise surrounding this movie, surrounding Klaus, it reminded me of that. Reminded me of how, just like with Into the Spider-Verse, I was being skeptical. I wasn't quite sure that this could live up to everything that people were saying about it. And granted, mind you, I didn't hear any spoilers. I just heard a lot of people like talking hype and everything, saying that it's one of the best Christmas movies of all time. And I didn't believe it. And even going into this, it's like, I want to love this, but I don't think I will as much as people are like saying I would. I don't expect to love it as much as other people do. Especially because, honestly, my opinions do tend to differ from other people's a lot of the time. Not all the time, but a lot of it. So I went into this, like, hoping to love it. I went into this hoping that I would be proven wrong. And that I would adore this movie. Rather than be just disappointed through no other reason than it didn't live up to the hype. I was wrong. This is one of the best Christmas movies ever made, by far. Not only because of the unique and different things it does with its characters, especially with Mr. Klaus. Not only because of the, while overdone, message and idea behind it, but the excellent way it was handled. Not only because of the phenomenally done animation and voice acting from a great cast. It was not only because of those reasons. For me, at least, the one thing that a Christmas movie, especially one centering around Santa, requires, not just needs to be good, not just um, something that makes it better, but actually straight up requires, is the spirit of the holiday. Whether you celebrate Christmas or not, this season, in all of its celebrations, has a certain spirit to it. It has a certain pattern of beliefs, a certain pattern of ideals. It's the biggest reason why I love this time of year. The holiday cheer. The festivity that just seeps in the air. It's not just because of presents, and not even just because of spending time with friends and family. It's the overall spirit of the season and what it represents. Selflessness. And this movie not only represented the spirit of selflessness in spades, it redefined it. Like there's always a movie, a show, or whatnot you think of, you can think of when you think of selflessness. And a lot of times that can be a holiday movie. Because again, it goes kind of hand in hand a lot of the time. But it's like, for me at least, this movie is the definition of what selflessness is. The events of this movie, what it shows in this film, yeah, it perfectly represents the spirit of the season. So, as I said in the reaction, there was a lot about this that was very stereotypical. Jesper ending up with Alva in the end. Very stereotypical. The holdouts of the two families banding together and trying to stop Klaus and Jesper, only to be tricked and foiled in the end. Very stereotypical. The fact that Jesper loses the trust of everyone by not disclosing his true initial reasoning for doing everything, and then earning it back with an insane act of selflessness. Super stereotypical. A lot about this movie, when you boil it down to its basic premise, is super stereotypical. But if you've ever seen my reactions to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, you would know it's the same thing I say with JoJo and cliches. Cliches are not always bad. They can be done right, and if they are done right, they can be damn good. The same goes for stereotypical storytelling. A story can be done to the most basic, stereotypical, generic beats possible. Yet, if it's handled right, if it's written well, it's still good, even with the stereotypes. And I'm talking writing stereotypes, obviously. Though there were some stereotypical type of characters too, like the bad guys having these giant children. Like we've seen that kind of thing before. It's not a new joke, but seriously, to take all these stereotypical aspects of this story, to do them this right, is impressive. And I stand by what I was saying in the reaction, especially in the early half, that Jesper very much reminded me of Cusco from The Emperor's New Groove. If you've never seen The Emperor's New Groove, first of all, go watch it, like right now. Stop this video. I don't even give a shit. Go watch that shit. Emperor's New Groove is phenomenal. Now that you're back, Emperor's New Groove centers around a, I guess you would consider it like a Mayan type emperor. Like it's like kind of Mayan inspired culture. Um, Emperor Cusco. He's the emperor, so he's rich. He's just got everything, and he loves it. But eventually he loses everything when he's turned into a llama and has to try, and his goal is to try and get back to it through any means. Along the way, he meets a friend who, through working with, ends up learning the value of selflessness. And while returning to his seat as the emperor in the end, changes his entire outlook on life and becomes a much better person, not only for himself, but for others. So while not exactly the same as Emperor's New Groove, this definitely had a very similar feel. Jesper had it all, but then his father took it all away from him. He lost it all when he was sent to this nowhere town that was a complete train wreck, with this goal that he had to achieve in order to get back. Along the way, he meets a friend, and through their relationship, he realizes the value of selflessness. And while he chooses not to go back, which is, again, different from Emperor's New Groove, he still makes things better for himself and others along the way. So there's definitely a lot of similarities. But it doesn't feel like just a complete like retread of Emperor's New Groove or anything. It doesn't feel like it was, oh, we just copied Disney's homework. No, it doesn't feel like that. Klaus is its own movie. It stands apart and feels fresh and unique, even if it's not. Even if it's not unique, it feels that way because of, again, excellent writing, excellent voice acting, phenomenal animation. It feels fresh. And on top of that, like I said, the movie handles the Santa mythos in a very interesting way. I've seen a lot of different versions of the Santa story, how Santa becomes Santa. I mean, obviously, Tim Allen's the Santa Claus. You have Santa Claus is Coming to Town, the old Rankin Bass movie. And then the one I mentioned in my pre-thoughts, The Story of Santa Claus. All give these different views on who Santa Claus is, where he comes from, yada yada. How he becomes Santa. And this one is a really unique twist on that. Because in most of these stories, Santa Claus is this immortal being. This immortal being who uses magic to deliver all these gifts and stuff. In this story, he was just an ordinary man who who had lost so much. And through his friendship with Jesper, he came to find a new goal in life, came to find hope again. And he only really became Santa Claus after his passing. Because somehow, and it's even said in the movie, even Jesper does not understand how it works. But after his passing, or what we presume is him having passed, there was clearly magic in the wind there, so maybe he didn't technically pass away. But he kind of became this magical, like, figure. He turned away, he was no longer just this ordinary man. He was this magical spirit, in a way, who every year at Christmas would return to deliver presents to the children. And I like how in the end we don't see him again at that point. It just ends with Jesper saying, once a year I get to see my friend. And I think that's perfect. I think that's a good note to end on. You hear the sleigh bells, you don't need to see him. You don't need to see him, you don't need to you don't need to have like this big tearful hug or reunion. You get everything. The entire emotion of the scene, the magic of it all. You understand with just that line. It's a really unique twist on the Santa Claus mythos that I really appreciate. I think it handled it really well. How Santa Claus, or Mr. Klaus, was just this old, lonely, sad recluse who himself had to be shown the magic of selflessness. I think that's a really unique take. He technically wasn't even a toy maker. He had only made toys prior to that in the hopes of having toys for his children, but when they never came, it's like he just had all of them in stock already. Again, I bring you back to that moment in the movie where like they see the one kid get that frog toy, and you see Klaus's eyes light up. You see just that magic hit him in the face. To see that kid play with that toy, that's all Klaus ever wanted from it. When he made that toy, that is the entire purpose he made it for. To see it achieve that purpose meant that much to him. I also like how in the end, the bad guys weren't redeemed. Even if their children did end up getting married, they themselves never technically got redeemed. Also, the woman, the Crumb, Mrs. Crumb, was voiced by Joan Rivers, and that's amazing. I did not at all realize that was her the entire time watching, yet afterwards I can totally hear it. Like, I obviously know who Joan Rivers is. I've seen her in plenty of stuff. Probably one of my favorite roles from her would definitely be School of Rock. She's the principal in School of Rock. Granted, I just adore School of Rock. It's one of my favorite movies, but still. I just didn't realize that was her. Like J.K. Simmons, like once Klaus really started talking, like, yeah, that was J.K. Simmons. Um, and Jesper's voice, by the way, is oh, the name's escaping me. I have the thing up. Jason Schwartzman, who voiced, or not voiced, who played Gideon Graves in Scott Pilgrim versus the World, which is the big thing I would know him from. And it's like, oh, okay. I like Scott Pilgrim versus the World. I definitely know who Gideon is. Like, yeah. Um, I thought I recognized the voice, but nothing else he's been in, like, I would really know his voice from. So it's like, I guess he just sounded like someone else, maybe. Also, apparently Travis Willingham was a just a random additional voice in this. Um, if you don't know, Travis Willingham is an anime voice actor as well. And what I know him for the most is Roy Mustang from Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. And it's like, I mean, like, he was in an episode of Ruby, Volume 3, and I recognized his voice there because he has a very distinctive voice. But I didn't, I don't know, maybe it's just because I wasn't listening for it, but I didn't hear his voice here. On a rewatch, I might end up being able to hear it, but still. Um, but yeah, it's like, all in all, this film far surpassed my expectations, just like with Into the Spider-Verse. Despite my wariness, despite my lack of faith that this would live up to the hype people were putting behind it, it was that damn good. This is definitely a Christmas movie that I think would need to be on my yearly rotation, along with the likes of Home Alone, Jingle All the Way, and National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. This is one of those movies that I think has staying power. That I think this movie is going to be beloved for a long time to come. And I can't wait to watch reviews of it. I can't wait to see what people think. I would love to see reactions to it, but I doubt other people. I doubt I'm going to find much of any other reactions. But I know some YouTubers I watch have already put up reviews for it, so I'm definitely going to check those out. Yeah, this was a treat. This was truly a beautiful Christmas treat. And again, no matter which holiday you happen to celebrate at this time of year, I hope you enjoyed this reaction. This, unfortunately, will be the final monthly movie night reaction, for the time being at least. As I've stated before, we're not continuing the monthly movie nights into the new year, just because I have way too much on my plate right now, with all the other movie reactions I have to do for donation rewards, and so on and so forth. I don't have the time. But I wanted to end out the year, and I think this was a beautiful note to end that on. And again, that doesn't mean I won't react to movies again. No, I mean, there's still the free movie coming, for example, and there will definitely still be movie reactions, even outside of just the donation rewards. They'll just be not as scheduled, kind of like fewer and far between, I guess you could say. Just if there's something basically that I really want to react to. But this is a movie that I am so happy I got to see. Because honestly, if I didn't do this for my holiday special, I don't know if I would have watched this on my own. I just don't know. I'm not saying I wouldn't have, I just don't know. But I'm so happy I did. I'm so happy I got to watch this. And I want to know what your thoughts are. Tell me down in the comments below what you thought of Klaus. And for now, thank you so much for tuning in. And to all of you out there, I hope you have a very happy holiday. I'm Connie, and I'm signing out. See y'all next time.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and thank you so much for tuning in to today's video. If you want to check out any of my social media links and more, please check them out over to the side. And if you have any comments, questions, concerns, please leave those down below. In the meantime, though, thank you so much once again for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.